a Wikividi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Slovenia. Slovenia, officially the Republic of Slovenia, is a nation-state located in southern Central Europe. The country is located at the crossroads of main European cultural and trade routes. It is bordered by Italy to the west, Austria to the north, Hungary to the northeast, Croatia to the south and southeast, and the Adriatic Sea to the southwest. It covers 20,273 square kilometers and has a population of 2.06 million. It is a parliamentary republic and a member of the United Nations, European Union, and NATO. The capital and largest city is Ljubljana. The territory is mostly mountainous with a mainly continental climate, with the exception of the Slovene littoral that has a sub-Mediterranean climate and the northwest that has an alpine climate. Additionally, the Dinaric Alps and the Pannonian Plain meet on the territory of Slovenia. The country, marked by a significant biological diversity, is one of the most water-rich in Europe, with a dense river network, a rich aquifer system, and significant karst underground watercourses. Over half of the territory is covered by forest. The human settlement of Slovenia is dispersed and uneven. Slovenia has historically been the crossroads of West Slavic, South Slavic, Germanic, Romance, and Hungarian languages and culture. Although the population is not homogeneous, the majority is Slovene. The South Slavic language Slovene is the official language throughout the country. Slovenia is a largely secularized country, but its culture and identity have been significantly influenced by Catholicism as well as Lutheranism. The economy of Slovenia is small, open, and export-oriented, and has been strongly influenced by international conditions. It has been severely hurt by the Eurozone crisis, started in the late 2000s. The main economic field is services, followed by industry and construction. Historically, the current territory of Slovenia was part of many different state formations, including the Roman Empire and the Holy Roman Empire, followed by the Habsburg monarchy. In October 1918, the Slovenes exercised self-determination for the first time by co-founding the state of Slovenes, Croats, and Serbs. In December 1918, they merged with the Kingdom of Serbia into the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes. During World War II, Slovenia was occupied and annexed by Germany, Italy, and Hungary, with a tiny area transferred to the independent state of Croatia, a Nazi puppet state. Afterward, it was a founding member of the Federal People's Republic of Yugoslavia, later renamed the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, a communist state which was the only country in the Eastern Bloc which was never part of the Warsaw Pact. In June 1991, after the introduction of multi-party representative democracy, Slovenia split from Yugoslavia and became an independent country. In 2004, it entered NATO and the European Union. In 2007 became the first formally communist country to join the Eurozone, and in 2010 joined the OECD, a global association of high-income developed countries. Prehistory. Present-day Slovenia has been inhabited since prehistoric times, and there is evidence of human habitation from around 250,000 years ago. A pierced cave bare bone, dating from 43,100 plus/minus 700 BP, found in 1995 in Divjebab Cave near Cerkno, is possibly the oldest musical instrument discovered in the world. In the 1920s and 1930s, artifacts belonging to the Cro-Magnon such as pierced bones, bone points, and needle were found by archaeologists Reko Broder in Potok Cave. In 2002, remains of pile dwellings over 4,500 years old were discovered in the Ljubljana marshes, now protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Along with the Ljubljana marshes wooden wheel, the oldest wooden wheel in the world. It shows that wooden wheels appeared almost simultaneously in Mesopotamia and Europe. In the transition period between the Bronze Age to the Iron Age, the Urnfield culture flourished. Archaeological remains dating from the Hallstatt period have been found, particularly in southeastern Slovenia, among them a number of situlas in Novo Mesto, the town of Situlas. In the Iron Age, present-day Slovenia was inhabited by Illyrian and Celtic tribes until the 1st century BC. Roman era. The area that is present-day Slovenia was in Roman times shared between Venetia et Istria and the provinces Pannonia and Noricum. The Romans established posts at Emona, Poetovio, and Sulaia, and constructed trade and military roads that ran across Slovene territory, from Italy to Pannonia. In the 5th and 6th centuries, the area was subject to invasions by the Huns and Germanic tribes. During their incursions into Italy, a part of the inner state was protected with a defensive line of towers and walls called Claustra Alpia Miliarum. A crucial battle between Theodosius I and Eugenius took place in the Vipava Valley in 394. Slavic settlement. The Slavic tribes migrated to the Alpine area after the westward departure of the Lombards in 568, and under pressure from Avars established a Slavic settlement in the Eastern Alps. From 623 to 624 or possibly 626 onwards, King Samo united the Alpine and Western Slavs against the Avars and Germanic peoples and established what is referred to as Samos Kingdom. After its disintegration following Samos' death in 658 or 659, the ancestors of the Slovenes located in present-day Carinthia formed the independent Duchy of Carantania and Carniola, later Duchy Carniola. Other parts of present-day Slovenia were again ruled by Avars before Charlemagne's victory over them in 803. Middle Ages. The Carantanians, one of the ancestral groups of the modern Slovenes, particularly the Carinthian Slovenes, was the first Slavic people to accept Christianity. They were mostly Christianized by Irish missionaries, among them Modestus, known as the Apostle of Carantanians. This process, together with the Christianization of the Bavarians, was later described in the memorandum known as the Conversio Bagoriorum et Carantanorum, which is thought to have overemphasized the role of the Church of Salzburg in the Christianization process over similar efforts of the Patriarchate of Aquileia. In the mid-8th century, Carantania became a vassal duchy under the rule of the Bavarians, who began spreading Christianity. 3 decades later, the Carantanians were incorporated, together with the Bavarians, into the Carolingian Empire. During the same period Carniola, too, came under the Franks, and was Christianized from Aquileia. Following the anti-Frankish rebellion of Ludwig at the beginning of the 9th century, the Franks removed the Carantanian princes, replacing them with their own border dukes. Consequently, the Frankish feudal system reached the Slovene territory. After the victory of Emperor Otto I over the Magyars in 955, Slovene territory was divided into a number of border regions of the Holy Roman Empire. Carantania, being the most important, was elevated into the Duchy of Carinthia in 976. By the 11th century, the Germanization of what is now Lower Austria effectively isolated the Slovene inhabited territory from the other Western Slavs, speeding up the development of the Slavs of Carantania and of Carniola into an independent Carantanian/Carniolan/Slovene ethnic group. By the late Middle Ages, the historic provinces of Carniola, Styria, Carinthia, Gorizia, Trieste, and Istria developed from the border regions and were incorporated into the medieval German state. The consolidation and formation of these historical lands took place in a long period between the 11th and 14th centuries, and were led by a number of important feudal families, such as the Dukes of Spanheim, the Counts of Gorizia, the Counts of Celje, and, finally, the House of Habsburg. In a parallel process, an intensive German colonization significantly diminished the extent of Slovene-speaking areas. By the 15th century, the Slovene ethnic territory was reduced to its present size. In the 14th century, most of the territory of present-day Slovenia was taken over by the Habsburgs. The Hungarian Clan Czar administering the territories connecting Slovenia with Slovakia and Moravia was exterminated in 1330, and the Slovenes permanently lost the connection with their Slovak kinsmen. The Counts of Celje, a feudal family from this area who in 1436 acquired the title of state princes, were Habsburg's powerful competitors for some time. This large dynasty, important at a European political level, had its seat in Slovene territory, but died out in 1456. Its numerous large estates subsequently became the property of the Habsburgs, who retained control of the area right up until the beginning of the 20th century. Patria del Friuli ruled present Western Slovenia until Venetian takeover in 1420. At the end of the Middle Ages, the Slovene land suffered a serious economic and demographic setback because of the Turkish raids. In 1515, a peasant revolt spread across nearly the whole Slovene territory. In 1572 and 1573, the Croatian-Slovenian peasant revolt wrought havoc throughout the wider region. Such uprisings, which often met with bloody defeats, continued throughout the 17th century. Early modern period. The Republic of Venice was dissolved by France and Venetian Slovenia was passed to the Austrian Empire in 1797. The Slovene lands were part of the French-administered Illyrian provinces, the Austrian Empire and Austria-Hungary. Slovenes inhabited most of Carniola, the southern part of the duchies of Carinthia and the Styria, the northern and eastern areas of the Austrian littoral, as well as Prekmurje in the Kingdom of Hungary. Industrialization was accompanied by construction of railroads to link cities and markets, but the urbanization was limited. Due to limited opportunities, between 1880 and 1910 there was extensive emigration, and around 300,000 Slovenes emigrated to other countries, mostly to the US, but also to South America, Germany, Egypt, and to larger cities in Austria-Hungary, especially Vienna and Graz. The area of the United States with the highest concentration of Slovenian immigrants is Cleveland, Ohio. The other locations in the United States where many Slovenians settled were areas with substantial industrial and mining activities: Pittsburgh, Chicago, Pueblo, Butte, and the Salt Lake Valley. The men were important as workers in the mining industry because of some of the skills they brought from Slovenia. Despite this, the Slovene population increased significantly. Literacy was exceptionally high, at 80–90%. The 19th century also saw a revival of culture in the Slovene language, accompanied by a romantic nationalist quest for cultural and political autonomy. The idea of a united Slovenia, first advanced during the revolutions of 1848, became the common platform of most Slovenian parties and political movements in Austria-Hungary. During the same period, Yugoslavism, an ideology stressing the unity of all South Slavic peoples, spread as a reaction to pan-German nationalism and Italian irredentism. World War I. World War I brought heavy casualties to Slovenes, particularly the 12 battles of the Isonzo, which took place in present-day Slovenia's western border area. Hundreds of thousands of Slovene conscripts were drafted into the Austro-Hungarian army, and over 30,000 of them died. Hundreds of thousands of Slovenes from Gorizia and Gradiška were resettled in refugee camps in Italy and Austria. While the refugees in Austria received decent treatment, the Slovene refugees in Italian camps were treated as state enemies, and several thousand died of malnutrition and diseases between 1915 and 1918. Entire areas of the Slovene littoral were destroyed. The Treaty of Rapallo of 1920 left approximately 327,000 out of the total population of 1.3 million Slovenes in Italy. After the fascists took power in Italy, they were subjected to a policy of violent fascist Italianization. This caused the mass emigration of Slovenes, especially the middle class, from the Slovenian littoral and Trieste to Yugoslavia and South America. Those who remain organized several connected networks of both passive and armed resistance. The best known was the militant anti-fascist organization Tiger, formed in 1927 in order to fight fascist oppression of the Slovene and Croat populations in the Julian March. Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes, later the Kingdom of Yugoslavia. The Slovene People's Party launched a movement for self-determination, demanding the creation of a semi-independent South Slavic state under Habsburg rule. The proposal was picked up by most Slovene parties, and a mass mobilization of Slovene civil society, known as the Declaration Movement, followed. This demand was rejected by the Austrian political elites. But following the dissolution of the Austro-Hungarian Empire in the aftermath of the First World War, the National Council of Slovenes, Croats and Serbs took power in Zagreb on 6 October 1918. On 29 October, independence was declared by a national gathering in Ljubljana, and by the Croatian parliament, declaring the establishment of the new state of Slovenes, Croats, and Serbs. On the 1st of December 1918, the state of Slovenes, Croats and Serbs merged with Serbia, becoming part of the new Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes. In 1929 it was renamed the Kingdom of Yugoslavia. The main territory of Slovenia, being the most industrialized and westernized compared to other less developed parts of Yugoslavia, became the main center of industrial production, compared to Serbia. For example, Slovenian industrial production was 4 times greater, and it was 22 times greater than in Macedonia. The interwar period brought further industrialization in Slovenia, with rapid economic growth in the 1920s, followed by a relatively successful economic adjustment to the 1929 economic crisis and Great Depression. Following a plebiscite in October 1920, the Slovene-speaking southern Carinthia was ceded to Austria. With the Treaty of Trianon, on the other hand, the Kingdom of Yugoslavia was awarded the Slovene-inhabited Prekmurje region, formerly part of Austro-Hungary. Slovenes living in territories that fell under the rule of the neighboring states, Italy, Austria, and Hungary, were subjected to assimilation. World War II. Slovenia was the only present-day European nation that was trisected and completely annexed into both Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy during World War II. In addition, the Prekmurje region in the east was annexed to Hungary, and some villages in the lower Sava Valley were incorporated in the newly created Nazi puppet independent state of Croatia. Axis forces invaded Yugoslavia in April 1941 and defeated the country in a few weeks. The southern part, including Ljubljana, was annexed to Italy, while the Nazis took over the northern and eastern parts of the country. The Nazis had a plan of ethnic cleansing of these areas, and they resettled or expelled the local Slovene civilian population to the puppet states of Nedix, Serbia and NDH. In addition, some 46,000 Slovenes were expelled to Germany, including children who were separated from their parents and allocated to German families. At the same time, the ethnic Germans in the Gotchi enclave in the Italian annexation zone were resettled to the Nazi-controlled areas, cleansed of their Slovene population. Around 30,000 to 40,000 Slovene men were drafted to the German army and sent to the Eastern Front. The Slovene language was banned from education, and its use in the public life was limited to the absolute minimum. In south-central Slovenia, annexed by Fascist Italy and renamed to Province of Ljubljana, the Slovenian National Liberation Front was organized in April 1941. Led by the Communist Party, it formed the Slovene partisan units as part of the Yugoslav partisans led by the communist leader Josip Broz Tito. After the resistance started in summer 1941, Italian violence against the Slovene civilian population escalated. As well, the Italian authorities deported some 25,000 people to the concentration camps, which equaled 7.5% of the population of their occupation zone. The most infamous ones were Rab and Gonars. To counter the communist-led insurgents, the Italians sponsored local anti-guerrilla units, formed mostly by the local conservative Catholic Slovene population that resented the revolutionary violence of the partisans. After the Italian armistice of September 1943, the Germans took over both the province of Ljubljana and the Slovenian littoral, incorporating them into what was known as the Operation Zone of Adriatic Coastal Region. They united the Slovene anti-communist counterinsurgents into the Slovene Home Guard and appointed a puppet regime in the province of Ljubljana. The anti-Nazi resistance however expanded, creating its own administrative structures as the basis for Slovene statehood within a new, federal, and socialist Yugoslavia. In 1945, Yugoslavia was liberated by the partisan resistance and soon became a socialist federation known as the People's Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. Slovenia joined the federation as a constituent republic, led by its own pro-communist leadership. Approximately 8% of the entire Slovene population died during World War II. The small Jewish community, mostly settled in the Prekmurje region, perished in 1944 in the Holocaust of Hungarian Jews. The German-speaking minority, amounting to 2.5% of the Slovenian population prior to World War II, was either expelled or killed in the aftermath of the war. Hundreds of Istrian Italians and Slovenes that opposed communism were killed in the Foiba massacres, and more than 25,000 fled or were expelled. from Slovenia and Istria in the aftermath of the war. Brought to you by Wikivideo Documentaries. Would you like to know more?